May 27, 1940. As the Battle of France rages on, British and Allied forces retreat toward Dunkirk, desperately trying to escape the German advance. Among those left behind to hold the line are the men of the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Norfolk Regiment, defending the small French village of Paradis. Surrounded and cut off, they make their final stand in a farmhouse, which is soon destroyed by relentless SS shelling. With their ammunition spent and many wounded, their commanding officer orders them to surrender. 99 soldiers step out with a white flag, expecting fair treatment as prisoners of war. Instead, they are marched to a nearby farmyard, lined up against a barn, and gunned down by SS men under the command of Fritz Knockline. 97 are killed. Their bodies left in a shallow grave. Only 2 survive to tell the world what happened. This atrocity becomes known as the Paradis Massacre, marking one of the first major war crimes committed by the Nazis in Western Europe. However, this crime will not remain unpunished, and the main perpetrators will pay for this crime with their lives. The Second World War began on September 1, 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. During the campaign, SS Hauptsturmführer Fritz Knockline led a unit of the 1st SS Totenkopf Standard Oberbayern. After the campaign ended, this formation became part of the newly created SS Totenkopf Division. The Totenkopf Division, also known as the Death's Head Division, was an elite formation of the Waffen-SS, the military wing of the SS. On May 10, 1940, Germany launched its invasion of France through the Low Countries. And among the advancing forces was the SS unit led by Fritz Knockline. As the battle progressed, British and Allied forces found themselves retreating from the relentless German advance, desperately trying to reach Dunkirk for evacuation back to the United Kingdom. On May 24, 1940, in a surprising move, the Germans halted their advance, providing the Allies with a critical window of time. This unexpected pause allowed over 338,000 troops to be evacuated to Britain, although some soldiers remained behind to continue the fight. Among those left to hold the line were the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Norfolk Regiment and the 8th Lancashire Fusiliers, who were tasked with defending the French villages of Ries-du-Vinage, Le Cornet-Malo, and Le Paradis. On May 27, the Totenkopf troops, including Knockline's 3rd Company, attacked the British at Le Cornet-Malo, resulting in the deaths of 150 men from both sides. Meanwhile, the Norfolks had set up their headquarters at a farmhouse just outside Le Paradis. The company commanders had been informed by radio that their units were isolated and would receive no assistance. During the battle, the Germans under Knockline's command attacked the farmhouse with mortars, tanks, and artillery shelling, which destroyed the building and forced the defenders to relocate to a cowshed. After hours of fierce fighting, the Norfolks ran out of ammunition, leaving only 99 men under the command of Major Lyle Ryder. Ryder consulted his men and ordered them to surrender. They stepped out of the shed with a white flag. The British captives, most of whom were wounded, were disarmed and marched down a side road from the main street. While they waited, 2 machine guns were set up by a barn in a farm paddock. The British prisoners were then marched to the barn, lined up alongside it, and shot by 2 German machine gunners, who continued firing until all of the British had fallen. Knockline then ordered his men to use bayonets to kill any remaining survivors. Believing they had killed everyone, the German soldiers left to rejoin their regiment. 97 British prisoners were killed, and the Germans forced the French civilians to bury the bodies in a shallow mass grave the next day. But despite the German efforts, Private William O'Callaghan survived and pulled Private Albert Pooley alive from among the bodies. The pair hid in a pigsty for 3 days and nights, surviving on raw potatoes and water from puddles, before being discovered by the farm's owner and her son. These civilians risked their Lives caring for the two men, who were later captured by the German Army's 251st Infantry Division and transferred to a military hospital. News of the massacre spread to nearby German divisions and eventually reached Generaloberst Erich Hoepner, the commander of the German forces in France. When Hoepner learned about the killings, he demanded an investigation and called for the dismissal of the SS division commander, Theodor Eicke, if it was proven that British prisoners were mistreated or killed. Eicke defended himself to Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, claiming that his troops were fired upon with illegal dum-dum bullets by the British, which caused excessive injuries. Despite the allegations, Eicke faced no consequences, and the issue was eventually dropped. Knockline faced no consequences after the French campaign either and was appointed company commander of an anti-aircraft artillery battery in the Totenkopf division, serving on the Russian front until the summer of 1942. In October 1943, he became commander of the 36th Regiment of the newly formed 16th SS Panzer Grenadier Division and was promoted to the rank of Obersturmbannführer, an equivalent to lieutenant colonel. He then commanded a Norwegian SS volunteer unit from March 1944 to January 1945. For his battlefield bravery and military leadership, he was awarded the Iron Cross, First and Second Class, the German Cross in Gold, and the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. The Allies received no information about the massacre until the summer of 1943, when Pooley, who had spent the previous 3 years in a German hospital due to the injuries he had suffered in the massacre, was repatriated to the UK as part of a prisoner exchange organized through the Red Cross. However, British authorities did not believe Pooley's story upon his arrival, as it was not thought that the German army was capable of such atrocities against British troops. Private O'Callaghan did not return to the United Kingdom until 1945, after the liberation of his prisoner of war camp. O'Callaghan's confirmation of Pooley's story further intensified the hunt for Knockline, who was eventually found in a prisoner of war camp in Sheffield in the UK and then interviewed in the London Cage, a secret British interrogation centre operated by British military intelligence. Though accountability was uneven, in some cases justice, or even revenge, eventually caught up with the perpetrators. Theodor Eicke, who tried to justify the Paradis Massacre by claiming that his troops had been fired upon with illegal dum-dum bullets by the British, was killed on February 26, 1943 during the opening stages of the Third Battle of Kharkov in Ukraine, when his aircraft was shot down 65 miles south of the city by Red Army anti-aircraft fire. The Totenkopf Division, members of which committed the Paradis Massacre, did not fare any better. Between February and May 1942, about 80% of its men were killed, wounded or missing in action when they were encircled by the Red Army around Demyansk, 220 miles south of Leningrad, today's St. Petersburg in Russia. Fritz Knockline, who commanded the massacre of 97 British troops, faced justice as well. In August 1948, Knockline was formally charged with committing a war crime, to which he pleaded not guilty. His trial began on Monday, October 11, 1948, in Hamburg, with both Albert Pooley and William O'Callaghan called to testify against him. However, among those who testified against Knockline were also his former Nazi comrades as well as the French farmers who witnessed the shootings. His wife sat in the courtroom every day. During the trial, Knockline claimed he was not responsible for the Paradis Massacre as he had not been present on the day of the battle. He also insisted that the British were using illegal dum-dum bullets, which were prohibited by international law. Knockline further complained that he was tortured during his interrogation at the London Cage. He stated that because he was unable to make the desired confession, he was stripped, given only a pair of pajama trousers, deprived of sleep for 4 days and nights, and starved. He said the guards kicked him each time he passed. While his interrogators boasted that they were much better than the Nazi Gestapo. In Alexanderplatz in Berlin. After being forced to perform rigorous exercises until he collapsed. He was compelled to walk in a tight circle for 4 hours. When he complained to the commandant of the London cage that he was being kicked even by ordinary soldiers without rank. Knockline said he was doused in cold water, pushed downstairs, and beaten with a cudgel. Later, he was forced to stand beside a large gas stove with all its rings lit before being confined in a shower that sprayed extremely cold water from the sides as well as from above. Finally, Knockline and another prisoner were taken into the gardens behind the mansions, where they were forced to run in circles while carrying heavy logs. In the end, his fabrications and lies did not help him escape justice. The 37-year-old Fritz Knockline was found guilty of war crimes. Sentenced to death by hanging and executed on January 21, 1949. Before we end today's story, take a look at worldhistory.tv, your special destination for true history lovers. Discover exclusive documentaries and incredible stories you won't find anywhere else. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe our channel.